You're listening to the Give 'em Heaven Audiocast, Episode 4. Man, I'm glad that you guys decided to join me today. This is Scott. This is the Give 'em Heaven Audiocast. I'm glad that you're here. I guess you need to know that if you hear buzzing and cicada making their noises, I'm sitting outside. It's really nice out here right now, and so you may hear some sounds of nature. You know, I do live in the country, and there are lots of birds singing and chirping and buzzing of bees and stuff like that going on around me. So if you hear that, you'll know what's going on. I want to thank everyone that has listened to these audio podcasts. They're indeed much less popular than the video podcasting, but you know, let's be honest, my video podcasts probably are only popular because of my affiliation with Pastor Bob and the the Sanctuary International guys. I think if I did it on my own separately, it probably wouldn't be so popular, but because of him and all he's done for us and all those other guys do through Sanctuary for us, people want to hear what it is that we have to say, kind of like an endorsement that he's given us, and I'm thankful, very, very thankful for that. So anyway, I know this is odd that we do, or that I'm doing an audio podcast on YouTube, but at the same time, it is it's where we are right now. So those of you that are paying attention, that are listening, that are just being a part of letting me into your life at all, man, I'm forever grateful for that. I don't take that for granted, and I want you to know that. You guys, the world to me. I live a very secluded life where I am. I'm not involved in any kind of professional way with a church organization. Sanctuary is what I do, and I am very, very honored to be able to do Sanctuary and be a part of it. But at the same time, it's the fact that you guys have just welcomed me and allowed me to come in. So thank you for that. And that's enough of our housekeeping for today. Now I want to go on to a couple of things that are coming up in the future that you want to know about, that I want to tell you about. Audio Feed is just around the corner, 6 weeks away. We have the Audio Feed Music Festival. I will be there. I'll be speaking there, and I hope that you'll be a part of that. You can go to Sanctuary at Audio Feed on Facebook, Sanctuary at Audio Feed on Facebook, and you can see the listing of when we'll be speaking. I'll be speaking. Pastor Chris Dorman, Don Waite will be speaking, and it's just going to be a great time. Looking forward to that so much, and just the fact that I get to spend some time with you. So those of you that will be there in person, I would be honored if you would come up, tell me who you are, let me know, because a lot of you, I know your name when I see you on social media, but I don't know you by your face, and some of them's the other way around. So be sure to do that and let me know who you are. Hang out with me for a little while. That's what I want. I want to be able to meet you this side of heaven. I know when we get to heaven, we'll be hanging out for eternity, but I want to meet you this side of heaven too, if I can. So please take advantage of this opportunity if you're able to do so. Okay, keep a close eye on what you see happening on Sanctuary, by the way. Our Sanctuary Facebook page, the things that we have going on, we're going to be, hopefully, you'll be seeing some different things coming soon there. I'm very active and involved with the 45 RPM podcast, the video podcast that I do, and I really look forward to doing that, sharing that with you. It's been the last couple of weeks. This week was the first week that I have podcasted with 45 RPM now in about 2, maybe 3 weeks. So it's good to be back. I had some things that came up that I had to take care of. I just did, and part of that is better now, and so I'm able to spend some time with you. So thank you for that. Okay, all of that to be said, let's get on into what I want to talk to you about today, and that is kind of a second part of my 45 RPM podcast for this week. If you saw that, you saw kind of the first part, but you won't be missing anything if you didn't see it. I talked in that podcast about an interaction that I had with a teacher of something that I did as a stupid kid that, it's just stupid. Kids do stupid things, and I got in big trouble. So this time I want to talk with you about something that happened with an abusive teacher. This teacher, she she did some things and treated us some ways that when I look back on it, I'm still kind of blown away by, and I wanted to share that with you. I'm finally really kind of able to talk about this because I haven't talked about this in a lot of years outside of just, members of my immediate family. They know about it, but there was a teacher that I had in the second grade, and a lot of the kids in the class loved her. A lot of the kids in the class were kind of covertly abused by her. And I could not believe, thinking back on what we went through, that she did some of the things that she did as a teacher in the second grade. Now, I live in the country now. At this point, I was going to a school that was a 6-room school. You had one room for each grade, and then you had the meeting room in the middle, and that was pretty much it. And during my 5th grade year, we were integrated with the school in the nearby city where I live, in Petal, Mississippi. But at this point, this was out in the country. It was a little tiny school. It was, we had one class of about, I guess, 30 of us in the second grade. And this teacher, she did things that were just a little bit uncouth. Well, just, give you just an idea. She had nicknames for people. And whenever she would call the roll, using nicknames. And depending on whether or not she liked you, you kind of knew that by your nickname. She called one girl in the class, it was a little girl in our class, and she called her Stinky because she said she didn't bathe. And this is a second grade girl, 7-year-old. She called... Myself I was called Booger Picker. That was my name that I had to answer to every morning. There was another one in there that was called, I don't remember exactly what it was, but basically Ugly Face. She had some other word for his face. There was another kid in there that was called, that talked a lot, and he was called Loudmouth, Motor Mouth, depending on what mood she was in. And if you didn't say here when she said that, then you got reprimanded because you didn't answer to your nickname. So that's kind of a little bit about it. I remember her taking Stinky to have a bath one time. She took her outside and bathed her with her clothes on, of course, but bathed her because she said that she wasn't being bathed at home. She did that. But what she did with me is most bizarre, and first of all, I like I said in my video podcast, I was not a good kid. I was a mess of a kid. I carried on all kind of nonsense. There was a little girl in the class that I liked, and I liked her a lot. I thought she was cute. I thought she was pretty. I wanted her to be my girlfriend, and I'm 7 years old. She's 7 years old. This little girl... And looking back on it now, I see. In fact, she still lives here. I ran into her not long ago, and she doesn't have anything to say to me now. I doubt she even remembers this story. She's married to someone who's really involved in the community here where I live. But this girl would give me, she knew that I wanted her to be my girlfriend. So she would say, okay, I'll be your girlfriend if you'll do this. And she would ask me to do things that would embarrass myself, and make me look stupid, make me look like, like an idiot. But I didn't care. I didn't mind looking stupid because I wanted her to be my girlfriend, So one of the things she did is she wrote the word ass, A-S-S, on a piece of paper. And she said, if you'll stand up in class and say this, I'll be your girlfriend. So I stood up and I said, as. I had never, it's 7 years old. And you got to understand, here in the country, a very strong Christian family. I didn't know what that word was. I said, what is it? She said, it's in the Bible. And I said, okay. So I stood up and I just said real loud, I said, ass. And I said it, Well, there you go. I took to the office and paddled. Of course, whenever I got in trouble at school, I got in trouble at home. Whenever I got home, I got a butt whipping from my dad, or my mom. So they sent a note home and I got in trouble for saying that word. Well, she would do that. She would give me different words to say, different things to do. And this went on and on for, for several weeks. I would get in trouble. So that's probably about the time I earned that nickname. The girl I remember told me, says, stand up and pick your nose. So I stood up and picked my nose. I was wanting this girl to be my girlfriend. So I got the nickname Booger Picker from that. Yeah, and all of this now, looking back on it, it's kind of hard to think about. It's kind of hurtful, sitting here, I have a very sinking feeling about this. But anyway, I felt like I needed to share it. So the particular event that I want to tell you about is, I want to tell you that there was this one guy that was in our class who lost an action figure. Now, I was 7 years old. This was the year Star Wars came out. Okay, remember that? That was a big deal. And Star Wars we had action figures that came out, and that was the cool thing. If you wanted to be cool, you had R2-D2, you had C-3PO action figures, and Han Solo, and Luke Skywalker, all of these things. And this one particular kid had an action figure that no one else had. He had the coolest action figure. I can still remember it now. It's an R2 unit. I can't remember the name of it. I'm not that huge of a Star Wars geek, but it's an R2 unit that had kind of a can-shaped head. Some of you can probably put in the comments down there what this unit was called, but he had that as an action figure and was playing with it on the playground. And then, of course, the bell rings, and we all go back inside, and he had lost, in between the playground and inside, he had lost that action figure in a brown paper bag. And whenever he lost it, he went to the teacher and told the teacher, hey, I'm missing this whatever action figure it is. He wanted to retrieve it, of course, so he told the teacher that he had lost it. And whenever he did, the teacher, one of the kids said they saw me with it. Well, I did have an action figure that I was playing with. It was an R2-D2 action figure, and it was mine. But this teacher, of course, I'm sure because she, one, had a tendency to be that kind of a person, too, because I was an aggravating child. I don't deny that. She just assumed that I had stolen it. So immediately I was taken to the office. I was told in the office that you're going to give this back or we're going to paddle you. Well, of course, I didn't have it. I had mine, and I showed them the one that I had. They said, no, that's not it. So I was given that to, I was given this ultimatum: give it back or get a paddling. So guess what? I got my butt paddled. And when I got home, I did not tell my parents about it, because if I told my parents about it, then I would be in big trouble and I would get a whooping from the house. I told you that earlier. I'd get in trouble at home because I did something wrong. But I didn't say anything because I was afraid. Well, the next day I was taken to the office and they asked me again. They said, this is the second day. They asked me again. Same ordeal. I don't have it. And they paddled me again. That went on for every day that week. It started on a Monday, and on Friday that happened again. I got paddled every day. The following Monday, of course, I remember clearly my mom saying, "Are you okay? Are you all right? Is everything okay?" And, "Oh yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine." I would lie to her. Well, I remember the following Monday being taken to the office, and when I got there, it was the same, the same ordeal. Okay, bend over, grab your ankles, and she's fixing to swing the paddle, and the door flies open, and my mom is standing in the door. And my mom says, "What's going on here? What's going on here?" Sure enough, the teacher says, "Well, has he not been telling you what's going on? I've been sending notes home with him, every day." And of course, I wasn't showing her the notes. She said, "No." She said, "Well, your son, and she's standing there with the principal, by the way. Your son," and I want to be careful that I don't confuse this teacher with the one I spoke with in my podcast. That teacher, Miss Pippin, was awesome. This was a different teacher. But this teacher looked at Mom and the principals. She said, "Your son has stolen an action figure from the student," and gave the student's name. "And it was stolen in a brown paper bag. And he's not admitting to it or returning it. So he's in trouble every day until he does." Well, you'll be interested to know that right before all this was beginning to happen, the secretary at the school was a friend of my mom's from church. So she knew my mom. She had called my mom and had filled my mom in on what had been happening every day that week. She said, and on top of that, there was an action figure turned in a brown paper bag. It's on the principal's desk. But I didn't know that, but my mom did. So anyway, as the teacher is telling her he stole this, he did this, and my mom said, well, what did it look like? And she said it would look like this according to the description, and it was in a brown paper bag. Mom said, well, what's in that brown paper bag right there on the desk? They both looked at each other. Y'all, listen, as I'm telling you this story, I can remember it like it was yesterday. They looked at each other, and they were like, I don't know. So they picked it up, opened it up, and pulled out, lo and behold, said action figure. And my mother went absolutely ballistic. I understand that you have paddled my son. This is going to be the 6th day. Y'all, but it's been going on for a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and today is the 6th day. She went ballistic. I was asked to step outside, to which all I could hear outside, and I was sitting in the office with the secretary who told me to come over, and she gave me a hug, by the way. And all I could hear was, and that's all I could hear, and I'm glad, honestly, that I couldn't hear anymore. And my mom came out. She said, you're going home with me today? And there was no other teacher. Now, mind you, in this little school, there was no other teacher to teach my grade for them to put me in someone else's class. But I was taken to get ice cream that afternoon. I was treated to a new action figure. She took me and bought me the action figure that was supposedly stolen, said action figure. And I wish I still had that thing, by the way. If I still had those action figures now, I could be a very wealthy man. But anyway, alas, I don't. But I was treated very well. And then my mom told me, you will not have any more trouble out of Miss So-and-so. And she will not give you another problem for the rest of this year. And do you know I did not have any more trouble out of her? With the exception of her calling the roll and calling me booger picker still. She still did that every morning. Yeah, she had a pair, didn't she? This lady was something else now. But I saw her systematically when she wasn't abusing this person, she was moving to the next. And she systematically went around the room to the people she didn't like during the course of that year, and that's what she did. Nowadays, that teacher would be sued. That school district would be sued. It would be a mess, But back then, you handled things a little bit differently. And I'm not sure exactly what happened in there, but I do know I was never in trouble anymore with her. And I behaved myself. I did what I was supposed to do for the rest of that year. And, when we moved to the city school and they closed down the little one-room school and they put us in the city school, then that teacher went over there. That principal was a principal at that school, and I never had any issues. They were good to me after that. But gosh, looking back on that, I'm reminded of something, and I wanna make this kind of quick and clear. But I'm reminded of us in the life that we live. We do deserve to get into trouble. I was on that teacher's radar because I had done some things to get into trouble. Some things I did on purpose, like standing up and barking like a dog and being just a goofy little boy. Other things I did not do on purpose. I didn't say the words a girl gave me to say on purpose, or try to get in trouble on purpose, to be bad. I was trying to impress a girl, and those kind of things you just learn as you go. You learn it's doing life, right? And so I was on this teacher's radar because of things I did do, some things I did not do. But at the end of the day, punishment is taken care of, and we are guarded by a Father who loves us so much, and He takes care of us. Now, because we live in the world that we live in, we have to go through a lot of crap. We really do. We go through a lot of crap. We bring a lot of it on ourselves. There's a lot of it that we go through that we don't ask for. We don't. There's a lot of it that happens to us of stuff that we're perfectly innocent, but yet because we live here, because of the things that we're going through, we have to deal with some of the things we have to deal with. We have to go through some of the trouble that we have to go through. But at the end of it all, whenever we are sitting before the King of Glory and we're standing there, we have a Father with his arm around us that looks at our enemy and he says, "You don't touch this one. He's mine. I've already paid a price for him. He is innocent in the eyes of everyone here, especially King Jesus. I'm innocent in his eyes." Have you ever thought about that? Because of the cross, when he looks at me, he doesn't see everything that I've done. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. It's clear in Romans. But because of the cross, I'm innocent in the eyes of our Lord. I'm innocent. And I don't have to fear. I don't have to worry anymore about the things that our world throws at me, the titles, the nicknames that I'm given. All these things will all go away. And at the end of it all, I will be treated to a wonderful reward. I will. And so will you if you put your faith and trust in Christ and you accept the grace that he's given to us because of the cross. It kind of stinks. And I wish as a kid I would have known how to protect those other people in the room that were going through the same stuff I was going through. I didn't understand. But I do know that whenever my mom found out about it, she took care of me. And I can promise you that if you belong to King Jesus, whenever the time comes, you will be taken care of. Be encouraged. Smile today as one who has accepted the grace of the cross of our King. Let's go give him heaven.